Okay.
When they speak their name and address. When they speak their name and address.
When they do what?
When they want to speak.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Okay, good evening. Welcome to our May Supervisors Township meeting. I'd like to get started early here, and it's time. So at this time, I'll call the meeting to order and invite you to join the board as we stand and pledge the flag. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The roll call. Okay. At this time, I'll have the roll call.
Melvin Boyd.
Here.
Arthur Zerby.
Here.
Jerry Long.
Here.
Mike Reiner.
Here.
Bill Cassidy.
Here.
Carl Martin.
Okay, before we begin our community open session, we want to make sure everyone who wants to get in here can.
Your seats open.
There are some seats up here yet. There's still 2 more seats. There's one in here. Here.
One more
Now.
seat right here.
There's one more over here.
2 more seats.
Now, our agenda tonight, we're going to have an opening community session. I gather you most are here for the second item, which is where we'll have the advertised proposed hearing. So we're going to go through with the public, or the community open session first. I set a limit to 4 minutes. If you're here to speak about the proposed rezoning, please do not take up the community session time. If you're here to speak about something other than that, this is your time. So, who wants to speak in the community? Okay, your name?
Gary Owens.
Okay, you got 4 minutes.
Okay, was kind of something I wanted to ask the board and also Levi for zoning.
Okay. Speak up.
And,
You're good.
excuse me? Okay. In late last year, sometime in November, wife and I expressed some concerns on a property across from us on the condition of it and the fact we felt that it was more resembling a junkyard than a trucking company. Don't know any other way to say it, but that's a fact. At some point in December, Levi got back to my wife and emailed and stated that he did talk to them and that he made it plain to them that their condition of the property was not acceptable and discussed with them what they need to be in compliance. What he said to my wife and I at that time, he wants to give them a chance to make it right on their own. Everything's still as was. And I guess I'm curious as to when the time runs out on we're giving them to fix it on their own or we'll do something about it.
This is at Andrew's Way. Levi is not here tonight, and I did.
Stop back.
Yeah. But we will note it, and we'll talk to him about it and see where he's at, and have him stop out and fill you in.
Okay.
Okay. Is there anyone else?
Just make a request. Can everyone introduce themselves so I know who's up there and who we're all talking to?
We had the roll call.
Oh, we did?
Yes.
Did we miss it? You? I was late. Sorry about that.
Okay. Anyone else? Yes.
Yeah, I guess on 2 items. In response to the gentleman we just spoke, at the last meeting, my understanding was that Mr. Long had agreed to go out and speak to the gentleman.
We're talking 2 different people.
Oh, it's 2 different people?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. My other issue, however, is the development across from the park kind of down off of 625, down below there, below the road, the new development. Someone had put up a sign that says public sidewalk, and I don't know whether the township did that or the developer did that. And that's fine, but the way the plantings are, if we have a nice rainy, warm spring, you won't be able to access those public sidewalks because of the way the plantings are. If it is a public sidewalk, my concern is the way the plantings are done is probably going to undermine that sidewalk. I don't know if the township now owns that or not. Then in addition to that, we noticed in the last few weeks, along 625 on that side of the road, someone has put up multiple signs that say no dumping, no yard waste, no littering. Again, I don't know if those signs were put up by the township or by the residents or by the developer, but I understand their point, but it's starting to look like some strange intersection over there with all these signs popping up. So I'm hoping somebody could shed some light on that. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, state your name.
Robin Engel, I live on Boulder Hill Road.
Okay.
I want to talk about the concrete business that was put in behind our homes. I'm the one that's affected by it the most. And I was told by you, I believe, that they weren't supposed to start until 6 a.m. in the morning. And every morning at 5:30, they got trucks and petty bones running back there, equipment slamming around. It's a very dirty environment. I can't keep the windows open in my house. I have a screen room in the back of my home, and it's just continually covered with dirt. I can wash it once a week, and it's just dust nonstop. You know, I was told they were going to put up trees as blinders and noise, and none of that's happened. They have these little shrubs that are maybe 2 foot tall that are spaced about 20 foot apart. That's not cutting out any noise to the neighborhood. And I'm the one that's affected by it, like I said, the most.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, do you know the situation Cindy's talking about? Either Andy or...
Andy would know more than me. We didn't put any of those signs up. I don't know why the signs would have been put there. I'm assuming the developer maybe had people dumping on empty lots in there.
It's not lots. The signs are like right along the roadway. You know where that fencing is?
Mm-hmm.
The property line?
I'm not sure. We'd have to investigate it a little bit more and get some more info for you. The public sidewalk, I'd have to look at that too. That's part of the plan.
Yeah, that's part of the Millstone Village Phase 1 plan, Cindy. That's actually dedicated to the township. That has not occurred yet, but that will occur at some point when the developer makes that.
So am I
But they
correct
planted
that-
swamp grass.
Yeah.
And when it grows up, it's going to totally cover that sidewalk, because that's what swamp grass does. I mean, little chunks that are this far apart, all the way along. When they finally grow up real big, you're not going to be able to walk on that sidewalk.
And we're probably going to undermine the sidewalk itself, and then if the township is owning it, then after the dedication, that's going to be an additional expense for the township.
Well, we conducted an inspection of the sidewalk installation. Since that point, we have not been out to re-inspect anything. So if that occurred after the fact,
Oh, sure.
obviously there's going to be a final inspection before the dedication process actually takes over, where they'll have to address a punch list of items. So if there's an issue there, they'll have to address it at that point.
And Mr. Engel, your concern would pass on to our zoning officer.
You know, it doesn't end. It goes on one time, like 30 weeks. Got trucks pulling their equipment running. And when I spoke to him when we built the business, he told me they were going to put a muffler on that penny board, and it was still as loud as it was when they first started it.
Okay. That concludes our community open session time. And at this time, we'll move on to our advertised public hearing. And I know a lot of you normally don't come out. You came out tonight for this. And when this is over, don't feel bad if you want to leave, because we'll go on with our normal meeting. But don't feel obligated to stay if you don't want to, and don't feel like you're slipping out. So I'll just tell you that now. But this time, I'll ask Bill Cassidy, our solicitor, to explain the legal.
Yeah, this is the designated time for a public hearing regarding a proposed amendment to the zoning ordinance of Brecknock Township, specifically an amendment to the zoning map There are properties that are being rezoned or proposed to be rezoned from agricultural district to highway commercial, from residential low to light industrial, and from agricultural or residential low to light industrial. Under the state law governing zoning issues, the township is required to advertise twice in a newspaper, which has been done, and I have proof of publication that was accomplished. It also has to be, these properties needed to be posted, and they were posted by the zoning officer, and I have a certificate stating that the properties were posted in compliance with the municipality's planning code and the township zoning ordinance. And lastly, the property owners of these specific properties were notified in writing in accordance with state law as well. This is a hearing for anyone here to make comments, either in support or in opposition to this particular proposal. The township will give an overview, and this is the zoning map, give an overview of where the proposed rezoning is being considered this evening. I would ask that when you do stand up, if you want to be heard with the comments or statements in favor or opposed, that you give your name and your address. And please speak up so that everybody can hear you. It's difficult for the board and everyone else if people are talking over one another, so I would ask that you respect everybody else's interest in the project here and hearing, and let one person speak, and don't speak over either a supervisor or another person in the audience. Everybody will have an opportunity to give their feelings and their thoughts concerning this particular proposal. So if you want to speak, you have to raise your hand. You'll be called upon by the chairman. Just give your name and your address.
Okay, at this time, our township engineer will give a narrative of what got us to this point and where we're at.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Long. Good evening, everyone. I'm the township engineer, Mike Reiner. I actually serve as the consultant to the Township Planning Commission. And just to give you an overview, for those of you who haven't been involved with this, back in June of last year, the Township Board of Supervisors asked the Township Planning Commission to look into some opportunities to expand the highway commercial zoning district in the township. Primary reason for that is with the result of the PP&L substation being constructed, that was the last remaining vacant highway commercially zoned property in Brecknock Township. In addition to that, there was a subdivision called Boulder Hill Properties located on Andrews Way that was also recently built out and dedicated to the township. And so therefore, there were no remaining highway commercial vacant lands in the township for future land development. The reasons for that the board had expressed at the time, and I'll just briefly go over these, as a result of those things occurring, there was a desire by the township supervisors to expand the commercial industrial zoning districts to allow additional employment opportunities in the township to allow some economic growth. Was the primary reason for this. In addition to that, the board was also interested in expanding, as a result of having additional commercial lands, providing additional tax revenues into the township based on providing those additional uses to additional lands in the municipality. Also, there was a desire, because the highway commercial zoning district is primarily located along two major corridors, the 897 corridor and also 625, of which the existing zoning is along 625. There was a desire to legitimize, there are several pre-existing non-conforming uses that exist along that route that by the result of a rezoning would actually bring those properties into a conforming status. So in other words, where they may not have been previously allowed, they were grandfathered in under a rezoning that had happened previously, they would now be brought into compliance because they would be in concert or meet the intent of what the highway commercial standards and uses allow at that point. There was also a concern expressed by the supervisors related to not having any additional commercially zoned lands in the township, and the possibility of a legal challenge known as a curative amendment was also one of the concerns that was passed along. So with those reasons in mind, the supervisors relayed that back to the Planning Commission. we met with the Lancaster County Planning Commission representative to Brecknock Township at that time. His name was Randall Holman. He's represented the township for several years, has since now moved on to another job opportunity. But we met with him and the township during a regular meeting. We met in September and also later that year in November, and we looked at the existing zoning as it is today, and we also looked at additional properties that may fit the intent of the highway commercial zoning district. As a result of those two meetings, the zoning officer was also asked to provide some analysis in the form of providing the acreage of the properties that we were looking at. And primarily we were trying to achieve contiguous lots to the existing zoning so that you wouldn't run into an issue of spot zoning or legal challenge down the road. So we primarily wanted to stay in the area north of the PA Turnpike along 625, as you see with the proposal. That was the final configuration that the Planning Commission had recommended. Because there was a concern also by the Planning Commission of public relay or feedback on this, the township decided to hold a public meeting in January of this year where residents were notified and they were allowed an opportunity to speak to the Planning Commission before we moved forward in the process. That meeting was well attended, and in summary, the consensus of the audience that was present was in favor of the proposal. In fact, there were some additional requests to have additional properties beyond what was initially proposed included in the proposal, which again are reflected in the current map that you see here this evening. After that discussion occurred, the Planning Commission relayed that recommendation to the supervisors, who then decided to forward the proposal to the County Planning Commission, Lancaster County Planning Commission, which occurred, I believe, back in March of this year. Lancaster County Planning Commission, since then, a new representative, Ms. Gwen Newell, reviewed the plan and provided a review letter to the County Planning Commission. Mr. Long and I attended that meeting where the Planning Commission discussed those comments, and there was a recommendation to adopt that review letter as drafted by Ms. Newell. The next step in the process was then to come back to the Township Planning Commission to review that letter and also receive additional comments from the public. That occurred at our April meeting. Sorry about that. April meeting, where we discussed the review letter. Ms. Newell was present, as were some other members of the public. Planning Commission made a recommendation to the supervisors to follow the guidelines presented in the county review letter, which essentially, again, these are advisory comments because it is a planning commission, so these are recommendations. However, there were several recommendations that were reflected in the county review letter, essentially speaking about rezoning properties that contain existing businesses and have infill parcels between existing developments. They also recommended looking at a phasing schedule for the rezoning of the properties, looking at the highway commercial uses that the township currently has and possibly reanalyzing those and reducing or adding to that number of permitted uses, and also to look at the Elanco comprehensive plan. There are several comments in the review letter about inconsistencies related to the Elanco plan. However, they also note that the plan is almost 10 years old, so that there is a need for an update to occur at that point in the near future by the township. There's also comments in here related to consistencies between the comprehensive plan and the proposed rezoning as they relate to economic growth. So that was also reflected in this review letter. And again, this is an advisory letter to the township, as is the Township Planning Commission's recommendation to this Board of Supervisors. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So at this time, what we're going to do is we're going to allow each of you as much time as you need. But again, I want you to focus on the board here so that our court stenographer or court reporter can actually catch everything you're saying. There may be people that don't agree with you, so don't be trying to convince them the votes come up here. So I want you to focus on your comments directly to the board and our court reporter. You give as much time as you need. I'd like to use courtesy so that there's a lot of people here that want to speak. And I'll use that, we'll give you uninterrupted time. When you're completely done, everyone has that opportunity. And the board will have the opportunity to ask any questions from any of you that we may have sparked interest in, and actually there can be some dialogue at that point. And then when all the questions are answered or finished, then the board will take some time to deliberate or make their own statements or testimony before any action is done. So at this time, we'll just go around the room, and whoever wants to go, they can speak again loud, give your name and your address. Yes.
Gary Woods, I live at 1449 Reading Road.
Okay. Okay.
Very range beside me. I'm certainly concerned about what was proposed, and I would suggest.
Just ask you to speak up a little bit.
I'm concerned about what was proposed because I'm a prime example of wife and I's property. That gentleman's down there. I believe that our promises broken and zoning not followed through on. I'm paying the price for that now where I live, with what I see out my front door every day and my property value. So consider that, everybody. What you feel is up to you, but
Up
consider
front, address the board.
Consider it, please.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
Who's next? Yes, back your name and address.
My name is Stephanie Armpriester. I'm Municipal Outreach Coordinator with Lancaster Farmland Trust. And I want to present a letter that our Executive Director, Karen Martinick, sent to the board. I have a copy for the stenographer if he needs that.
Is that the same letter we have already received?
Yes.
Okay. Who do you represent?
Lancaster Farmland Trust. I'll just read it so that, I mean, you have the copy, but I'll just read it so that everyone.
Okay, we'll come up further so that we can get it.
Dear Brecknock Township Board of Supervisors, Lancaster Farmland Trust is writing in opposition to the rezoning of plus or minus 213.5 acres of agricultural A and residential low RL zone land to highway, commercial, HC, and light industrial LI in Brecknock Township. Lancaster Farmland Trust supports the findings in the Lancaster County Planning Commission's review of the rezoning and seconds their recommendations in addressing the township's future land use needs. Lancaster Farmland Trust's mission is to preserve and steward Lancaster County's farmland for future generations. The organization has worked cooperatively with Lancaster County municipalities and the Lancaster County Planning Commission to delineate areas appropriate for growth and develop creative land use tools to manage development while protecting the county's precious agricultural land. This includes working proactively with the Elanco municipalities and adopting a multi-municipal transferable development rights program. Lancaster Farmland Trust opposes the rezoning for the following reasons. 1, the proposed land to be rezoned is located outside of the designated growth area. The Elanco Regional Comprehensive Plan of 2008 delineated future growth areas. The growth area where part of the rezoning would occur was never adopted by the township. In addition, the proposed rezoning extends further into agricultural areas than outlined in the comprehensive plan. 2, the proposed rezoning to highway commercial may not fit the needs of the area and should be studied before adoption. Feedback from Brecknock Township Planning Commission members at their April 24, 2017 meeting indicated that they were looking for opportunities to expand local cottage industries. This particular zoning designation may not be appropriate for the goals of the township to encourage small businesses to grow within the township. In addition, Brecknock Township is underutilizing its current commercial/industrial land to 2 employees per acre, when the comprehensive plan calls for 10 employees per acre for industrial and 22 employees per acre for service/commercial land. 3, the rezoning is inconsistent with the county comprehensive plan. The rezoning will impact the viability of the township's agricultural lands and rural view sheds, a major component of balance, the growth management element of the county comprehensive plan. Lancaster County, its townships, its residents, and its local businesses support the preservation of the viability of agriculture. Lancaster Farmland Trust urges the township to review the Elanco Regional Comprehensive Plan first and understand the current and future needs of the community. Lancaster Farmland Trust recommends that the township amend their comprehensive plan to adopt designated growth areas near Bowmansville and Five Pointville. In addition, understanding and updating future demographics, future growth analysis, and the future land use map is essential for responsible growth management in the township, and LFT encourages the township to take these steps before any rezoning occurs. Thank you for your consideration.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We're not going to get into expression. Yes, back there.
Yeah, my name is Dan Swigert. I don't reside in the township, so I'm willing to take my turn if there's other people in the township that want to speak. Is that acceptable that I can comments now? Or
You're here.
Okay, that's fine.
Keep it moving.
I reside in Ephrata, and the reason I'm here is when I saw the article in the Lancaster paper a month or so ago about the rezoning of 213 acres. Having been involved in farmland preservation for almost 30 years, I was very concerned. And that's how I got involved in this. I'll keep my comments very brief, and I do have handouts with some photographs, art, and Jerry. Now. Yep. So basically, what many of us view this as all about is agriculture within Lancaster County. The heart and soul of Lancaster County, as many of us know, is agriculture. It is the farmland that identifies the county for what it is, not only here in Pennsylvania, but across the country and around the world. First off, point I want to make is Brecknock Township over the years has done a really good job, in our opinion, in supporting the farming community and in maintaining that rural character which many of the residents really value. And while I'm not a resident in this township, I often drive through here and really admire the countryside and the rural character. And a lot of credit to maintaining that rural character and to supporting the farm community goes to Art Irving. And I just want to compliment you for your efforts on that. A couple of facts which the audience may or may not be aware of is Lancaster County is the #1 non-irrigated farming county in the whole United States. And that's based on the productivity of the soils here and the agricultural receipts. Stephanie could, if I make a wrong figure here, quote, but I think the figure the last time I checked was something close to $2 billion is the economic impact of agriculture across the whole county. If you look at farm receipts, all the adjoining industries that are part of that. Secondly, Lancaster County is the #1 county in the United States for the acres of preserved farmland. We're now, I believe the number is 108,000 acres of permanently preserved land. So that's the good news. The bad news is that if you look back to 1950, 60 years, not a real long period of time, 125,000 acres of productive farmland in this county has been lost to development. And we're continuing to lose almost 1,100 acres per year, each and every year. That is not a sustainable pattern. I mean, even though the number of acres lost per year has dropped, if we continue to lose 1,100 acres per year, eventually we're going to destroy that agricultural land base. And that's what brought my interest to this proposal, because the proposal to rezone 213 acres of farmland from agricultural to highway commercial is going to further contribute to that loss of farmland within Lancaster County. So we urge the supervisors to reject this rezoning proposal and consider other options. And I heard the concern, the need to generate additional revenue. Certainly that's a valid concern. But there are other options that I think can be explored for generating additional revenue other than rezoning agricultural land for development, which will permanently take that land out of production. So I thank you for the time to express my views.
Okay, who wants to go next? Yes, name and address, right there.
Me?
Yeah.
Let me stand up a bit, man. John Marconi, 1209 Durant's Place.
Okay.
I found out about this a little late through a coworker and also another resident, Brecknock Township. And I heard some of the reasons why. I want to know why. What is the tax reason that was given? Is there a shortfall for some reason we don't know about? What's the intended purpose for this increase in the taxes? What's going to be used for? What is the benefit to the citizens of Brecknock Township? And where's the revenue coming from in 2016, 2017 alone for the increases for that PP&L substation? That has to be a lot of money. And all the new residents moving in, for all this housing coming in, that has to be a lot of revenue coming in for both the local taxes and also the school taxes. Where's those numbers? Can someone show us those? What are the proposed businesses? Are we talking about fast food businesses? I moved here 8 years ago from Ohio, relocation for work. I didn't move here because there's a Taco Bell from 5 miles away. I moved here because this is a quiet, tranquil place and it's low crime. And I'm afraid you put these fast food places up, what's going to draw? Have you considered the increases in traffic? Any study done about that? Increases in the trash, because I'll tell you what, if you put fast food places up and down 625, it's going to be trash everywhere being thrown on the streets. Increase in stress on the infrastructure, water, sewage, etc., from these businesses, what they're going to use, including the well water, which is always being sucked dry. Again, increase in the crime. We don't even have a police force. Does anyone consider that? Is going to tell us how they're going to protect us with an increased police force with all this different traffic, people coming here maybe for late night adventures? Again, people come here and they stay here for peace, quiet, and tranquility, let alone the damage to the aesthetics from putting up these businesses. Has anyone considered that? I think it comes down to greed, some quick bucks, and some unneeded taxes that hasn't been defined to us. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, who wants to go next? Yes. Name, address.
My name is Tom Martin, 1742 Bowmansville Road. I just wanted to express some concerns for myself and some of the people that I talked to over the past several weeks about the situation. I was writing all those bullet points here. Number one on the top of the list here, traffic. Apparent lack of study of any traffic impacts that are done to the local area here, the local back roads, but that some of this land will be changed to not along the main highway, but along the back rural road. Infrastructure, lack of supporting infrastructure for the current development planned here as water, sewage, that kind of thing, they're not currently run to these areas. The type of zoning that this is being changed to, from agricultural to an area where you could have nightclubs, hotels, whatnot. It's not definitely a zoning type of zoning that would match the area that we're in right now. Loss of farmland, it's already been reviewed here. The scale change, why the great scale change versus the current plan. Several people have expressed the option of phasing in possibly, which, if you have to have a change, why not consider that instead of going full bore here. Lack of alignment with the county plan, which is already expressed by the Brecknock Zoning Planning Commission. And I would recommend that we go along with the Brecknock Planning Commission's recommendation to follow the Lancaster County plan as expressed in the meeting 2 weeks ago.
Okay, thank you. Next. Yes.
Roger Satter, I live on 1423 Bowmansville Road. I would own one of the businesses that's being included in the rezoning. And the thing I've had in this township, and this has gone before any of you guys have been involved, is this, people put up businesses anywhere they want. They come, they plead their case, and then we've got these small businesses scattered from one end of this township to the other. And I'm in very strong favor of let's combine it to an area where we can try to limit it so that we can keep our businesses together and try to keep some space between residential area and commercial area. I mean, again, this is, for the most part, relatively light commercial stuff, but still try to keep some separation so that we can have a business area. And I realize there's some people here that got homes close to us, but we at least get a start where we can start combining this stuff, keep it all together, bringing people that do have businesses in compliance, and anybody in the future try to keep us together. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Over here.
My name is Ron Funk, and I'm the caretaker of the Bowmansville Roller Mill.
Can you come up further? Can you move up further so we can hear you? Further. And make sure that place this guy. Make sure ours order
Okay.
capture.
My name is Ron Funk. I live at 136 Bonita Street. I'm also the caretaker of the Bowmansville Roller Mill. I have a brief statement I'd like to read to you folks and the supervisors. Thank you for the opportunity to discuss the proposed rezoning of approximately 212 acres on Route 625 from agriculture to highway commercial. We understand the supervisor's desire to keep the township economically strong and to solve some of the zoning-related growth problems that several businesses owners face. But I and many in this room believe that the current proposal is too much too soon. It's too much land and too broad a zoning classification. We hope you can reach your goal with a smaller, targeted approach. The fundamental issue is that owners of a handful of non-conforming businesses along 625 are concerned that current zoning restricts them from modest expansion of their businesses. The supervisors are right to want to keep these businesses in Brecknock, help them grow and stay financially strong. But the proposed zoning classification, highway commercial, is the wrong one. Highway commercial zoning allows hospitals, motels, restaurants, adult services like nightclubs, strip clubs, and adult bookstores. These kinds of businesses will draw customers from a wide area well beyond the local community. Once the land is rezoned, you cannot stop the construction. Repeat that, not stop the construction of businesses that are allowed in this highway commercial category. There are two other concerns. First, commercial development ultimately results in higher taxes to pay for increased services. Commercial development generates the need for more residential development, both for employees and customers of these businesses. These new residents cost more in services than they produce in tax revenue. The employees, customers, and trucks that service the businesses bring a new level of traffic to the community, resulting in a need for new, wider roads and more costly roads that bear more weight. There will likely be a need for traffic signals. In addition, the increased population requires additional security and more school classrooms. Eventually, there will be a demand for additional sewer capacity and perhaps a township water service. All of these bring an additional cost for taxpayers in their property tax, school tax, and their utility bills. Second, commercial development tarnishes our village community and quality of life. The new residents are offered from other communities like Philadelphia, New Jersey, New York. They do not share the values of rural Lancaster County. They expect more services. They live different lifestyles, and they do not necessarily want the lifestyle of a conservative, religiously oriented farming community. They'll push for beer fairs at the Sunoco station. They'll have a little tolerance for the horse-drawn wagon pulling a load of hay on public road or the smell of manure. These concerns are not just mine. More than 120 Brecknock Township residents have signed a petition to express their concern about rezoning the huge amount of farmland from agriculture to highway commercial. agriculture to highway commercial. Both the Lancaster County Planning Commission and the Brecknock Planning Commission have said this proposal is inconsistent with the comprehensive plans for the township. Our county and township planners who recognize the value of what you're trying to achieve have suggested a targeted, less disruptive solution to provide economic growth. They've shown us how to have our cake and eat it too. They suggest rezone only those parcels that have existing businesses or are located between existing businesses. That keeps these businesses in Brecknock Township and fixes a major problem that we're facing. Then create a plan to phase in new commercial parcels as needed, focusing first along Route 625. Consider creating a new zoning classification specifically to match the existing businesses, avoiding all the problems that come with highway commercial development. And finally, update the Elanco Regional Comprehensive Plan to provide for growth and protect our farmland. The Brecknock Township website contains a tribute to farmers, and I quote, "living in the country." It points out that we are the breadbasket of the world because of the industriousness of our farmers. It tells the township residents that farmers need your assistance to remain in business and asks everyone, and I quote from the website, to do what you can to keep agriculture viable in Brecknock. Supervisor Zerby has been an advocate for conservation and agriculture preservation in this township. I've been attending supervisory meetings since 2004, and he's always vowed he would never rezone agricultural land. That unyielding stance for farmers and rural life has won him the support of farmers and residents alike. Now is not the time to abandon these principles. Helping the rural and farm-related businesses with new zoning classification is the right thing to do. Opening up 200 acres for unknown highway commercial development is the wrong thing. You're a reasonable man. You want to do the best for the township. We ask you to do the right thing for the township and vote to implement the recommendations of the Lancaster County Planning Commission report. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Come on. Keep it down. Who wants to go next? Yes.
Yes, Cindy Spees, 1201 Chestnut Street. I've been coming to these meetings for a number of years, and since day one of this proposed zoning change, I've asked the same questions. What data have you used? Questions that other people have posed today. Have you talked to realtors? Have you had inquiries from businesses that would indicate to you that they might be interested in coming to Brecknock? And have gotten no real substantial answers to any of those questions. I would like to respond to some comments that have been made over the last few months and just clarify a few points for our residents who may not have had the opportunity to be here over all those months. Some comments were made such as, the county requires a fixed percentage of land to be zoned commercial. If this were true, then there must be some required percentage of land for agriculture, residential, neighborhood commercial, and open lands. There is no such thing. There are no such rules or laws requiring any classification of zoning to occupy a specified percentage of land in a county. Comment made, there is no available commercial land in Brecknock Township. 5 acres recently of neighborhood commercial land on Route 625 adjacent to Sunoco recently sold for $1.5 million. Existing commercial land is available when there are buyers willing to purchase at a price that catches the attention of a seller. Just because there's no sale sign does not mean there is no available land. Another comment, if there is an additional commercial land, then if there is no additional commercial land, developers can petition for a curative amendment and build a commercial building wherever they want. There is no requirement in law that every municipality must have land for every zoning category. State courts have ruled that curative amendments cannot be granted if they interfere with the character of a community as established by its comprehensive plan, which we definitely have. Owners of businesses on ag land will be forced to move if their land is not rezoned. Again, there are many businesses on ag land in the township that are non-conforming with the current zoning ordinance, but they are grandfathered in. They do not violate the zoning ordinance and cannot be forced to move. Another comment, the township needs commercial land to generate more revenue. And people have asked this evening, why? Farmland is not vacant land waiting to be developed. Farms are factory of our primary industry. Owners of farms pay income tax, property tax, school tax, and they have minimal need for township services in many cases. A recent study of the cost of development found that farmers use 56 cents of services for every dollar they pay in local tax. Homeowners use $1.37 in services for every dollar in taxes they pay. And finally, a comment was made, proposed land for rezoning is the only location with sewer service and adequate roads. You've heard from other people this evening, sewer services do not extend all of the affected land. There are no water services. Some parcels are not even really on a road. Traffic through Bowmansville is north-south on 625. There are no east-west routes for heavy car or truck traffic. You've heard already from other people what some of this has done in the past. Traffic would then look for alternative routes, i.e. the back roads. Rural roads and residents on these roads will definitely suffer. Children on their way to school will suffer. Buggies will suffer. The cost for providing these roads and services would outstrip the tax revenue that they may generate because no figures have been generated or considered in advance. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else? Yes.
Alvin Martin, 1550 Bowmansville Road, Bowman. I'm on one of the proposed properties to be rezoned. Small business is the backbone of America. Corporate America has shipped a lot of their jobs overseas. Any small business may be your next job opportunity. Thank you for making this possible on our township.
Thank you. Yes.
Jonathan Martin, 1574 Reading Road, Moton. As a resident and as a business owner in this township, my question to the crowd tonight is, how many of us in this room make our living off the farm? Commercial property will not generate a tax burden or will not generate a burden to our schools. Sure, they will eventually, but not like rezoning to residential or something of that nature. We're not going to generate taxes or not going to generate a burden to our public school system. As a business owner in this township, if every business owner pays the amount of taxes I do, the township will not survive. We are a business, but our taxes are very reasonable in this township. In the farming industry, and I'm not completely against farming. Absolutely not. But I don't recall the last time we had our business open, 11 o'clock at night, running through the field, spreading manure, chopping corn. Our businesses are closed after 6 o'clock.
No.
Our businesses, my particular business. I don't think there's some comments made, and I feel I'm the only oddball in the room. As a resident, I pay $6,000 a year in taxes. I know of a farm that pays $2,500 in taxes because it's in the clean and green. So my question is, as was stated earlier tonight, we've heard where there's a lot of businesses that are non-conforming in this township. If the township was to do something about these businesses that are non-conforming, where would these businesses go? So I appreciate the fact that we're trying to consolidate and keep it in one consistent area. We're not trying to spread it out throughout the entire township, where we have one person coming in. Because now, if the township has commercial land available, the township can now say to a proposed business owner that comes in here and says, you know what, we don't have to rezone, or we don't have to allow you because to have your business on the farm. You can now go to where we have commercial property available, and you can build a business there. I understand agriculture is a very important part of our life. As far as supporting home business, if you want to have families, it's very important. But how many of these farms nowadays can support 10 or 12 children when they're married with a family? If you have a business, you can sustain multiple families, and they can earn an income without too much, taking on more of the agricultural land. That's all I have.
Thank you. Right here.
Jason Brubaker, 1529 Bowmansville Road. I'm also the owner that is in the proposed lot. And I also speak in favor of the rezoning. But I like the comments about keeping it under the guidelines. And that's about all I have.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else? Is there additional people outside there? Are they all? No. So. We're having a slight recess. Good? Yep. Okay, who wants to go next? Yes, back there.
Lawrence Mark, 1490 Reading Road. I don't have any property that's going to be affected by the proposed rezoning, but I am a farmer. I used to farm the land that went under the PP&L substation, and I think a lot of people don't realize that a lot of the properties that are proposed to be rezoned, even though they currently have agricultural zoning, they are not currently in agricultural production. There are quite a few residential properties, and of course there's some businesses that own several acres that the property is devoted exclusively, mostly for the operations of the business. And if I think about all the properties that I'm familiar with that are proposed to be rezoned, there is very little that is currently in agricultural production. So a lot of people don't realize that the amount of farmland, or by saying that there's going to be 200 plus acres of agricultural land that's going to be affected, that isn't quite accurate. And I think there are other people that realize that as well. And also, as a part owner of a small business in Brecknock Township, I really think that some of the businesses that we have in the township, and what I believe this proposed rezoning will cater to, I think are going to be very important for the future of the township. Frankly, I wish that 20 years ago, some of what was rezoned or some of what was zoned to residential would not have been zoned to residential, but that's an opinion. That's all.
Thank you. Okay, right here.
Sam Brubaker, 355 Panorama Drive. I own a farm, and yes, the taxes are quite a bit for us, and I also am part owner of a small business in Brecknock Township. I'd like to talk a little bit about the PP&L giant. We had someone talk about the loss of farmland. Well, there's a lot of lines been crisscrossing Brecknock Township, and it's still not finished. It's going to be crossing my land. Well, there's farmland that's still farmable, but it's lost. It can never be changed or used to anything else. As far as it devaluated my property value, and there's not a thing I can do about it. PP&L moved in, they took the last remaining parcels of commercial land. I agree with some of the other residents that this is a good plan, and I encourage you to consider it.
Thank you. Yes.
My name's Larry Horning. I live at 1191.
Face the board.
I want to make sure everybody can hear me.
We'll hear you.
My name's Larry Horning. I live at 1191 Reading Road, and I was a previous supervisor. I've read many of these reports from the Lancaster County Planning Commission addressed to the local planning commission. And one of the things I've learned about the reports that have come out from the county, they're professionally written in order to avoid insulting people and being derogatory. And yet, if you carefully read the words that are used, you find catchwords that indicate what's really being said. And one of the few things in the report from the Lancaster County Planning Commission is the one time it says that this proposal is consistent. And that is the consistent desire to increase revenue for the township. That's the only time that they say that this plan is consistent with any of the planning models and tools that are in place by the township and the county to use the plan for local development. We've seen in the past years in our country what happens when politicians pass plans and then expect us to see the results after they're passed. You remember, if we pass the law, you can see what's in it. Well, this is kind of the same thing. There's a plan here to pass an ordinance that doesn't have the numerical statistics to back it up. There really isn't. We heard questions tonight, and my understanding is that there's no studies, the studies that are done are hand done, manually done, not by experts, but by people that have an agenda. For example, the township has a record of growing at 2 employees per acre, when the county and the plan that called Balance, which is a regional plan, recommends that it should be 20 employees per acre. So we're at a great deficit when it comes to planning for commercial use of farmland. I've seen in the years that I've lived in Brecknock Township, and I was born in Brecknock Township a long time ago, actually the year that Fidel took control of Cuba, so that tells you how long I've been around. One of the things that I've seen in the township is the township has consistently over the years made decisions and then did the plans and the studies later. A most recent one was the plan to increase the capacity of the sewer plant. The whole thing got rolling to the point where it couldn't be stopped, and then everybody said, "Well, wait, we should update the plan." Well, it was already too late. The sewer authority had spent money on a plan to increase the capacity of the sewer plant, borrowing $6 million when there were better plans, less expensive plans available. Now, I realize my time on the board wasn't respected, but that's a different story. Throughout throughout the document from the Planning Commission, it says over and over and over again that the local plans and the county plans should all be reviewed and updated first. Look at your long-range plans. Update them first. The local planning, the local township plan, the regional plan. One of the things as a small township that we need to do is work together with the local townships that are next to us and cooperate with them. There's regional plans in place that allow townships to share the burden of building and development. And what better place to put a high commercial district than near 222, the Turnpike, 272, but that would put it over in the 5 Point area, which for the last number of years has been strangely silent when it comes to increasing development and those kinds of things. It seems like Bowmansville is getting the burden of it. And there's only one way to get through Bowmansville, and that's 625. To get over to the Turnpike and 222, it's a hike across nice country roads, but that's going to change. I believe that this board would be wise to update all the plans first, as the county said, and wait to do the rezoning after those plans are updated, to find out how you fit into a regional plan rather than to think of Brecknock as an island of its own. I mean, it's ridiculous in the 21st century that we think of ourselves as this little kingdom that's run by one or two people, and we're not connected to the people around the communities around us. We need to cooperate not only in the purchase of materials, but the way we zone land so that where the commercial development should be, it's put there. Put it next to a big road, like the Turnpike or 222. Now, some people call that the highway. Well, I try to pull out of my driveway in 625, and I think I'm trying to pull out onto one of the lanes of 222. The wrong time of the day, you can't get out. I think I would recommend that the board considers reviewing the zoning ordinance first. What are the things that are permitted in the highway commercial district and the light industrial district now? Those have been in place for what, 30 years? 30 years. There are things that can be placed into these areas now that we never dreamt of. And it's kind of simply written. It was intended to be kind of cheap. It was. Now we see that there's all kinds of stuff that can go into some of these places. Industries that would certainly completely revolutionize the local agricultural quiet community that people came out to. When I moved to Bowmansville in 1980, it was just at the beginning of the sewer plant being installed and all the houses got built. I've seen Bowmansville turn from a small town into a small city. At least from what we started with, it was a small city. I think the board should review the local plans, the comprehensive plans, the regional development plans, review the zoning ordinances first, and then consider a phased-in plan. This feels like a real big grab of land, because it seems that the agenda of some is to get into office and make a big change for commercial and then get out. As Mr. Long, you said, you'll be a six-year, one-term supervisor, and it seems like your agenda is being pushed pretty hard here. One of the things that was mentioned briefly tonight is that the cost of services on farmland, if you think of an acre of farmland, it doesn't take police, sewer, emergency services, fire services, none of that. But you put commercial development in, all of a sudden your local services are going to go up. And I read some information that said that the income that will be generated is going to be offset by the increase in costs and expenses that are going to be followed with it. And obviously one of those is going to affect all of us when the sewer plant reaches its capacity. And at this point, the capacity, from what I remember, is about at the point where any future commercial beyond the residential and the ag that was there is going to blow that capacity out of the water. We're going to need to spend another $6 million to do that, and I'm not sure what that's going to do to your sewer bill, but I know what it would do to mine. I think the board should consider the serious matter that they are considering by disregarding the Lancaster County Planning Commission's review letter that says that this plan is inconsistent in every way possible. The fixes that they've established are so many that it will take you 5 years before you could ever implement this. You couldn't get it done in your term, Jerry. The local planning commission is made up of volunteers who give their time every month to review plans. They've agreed with the Lancaster County Planning Commission that this plan is inconsistent. And it says it twice in it. It's inconsistent with the county plan, it's inconsistent with the regional plan, and I missed the third one, it's inconsistent with the township plan. So it's inconsistent on every level. And I would caution this board against disregarding the advice of the local planning commission and adopt this in light of that. I know the township is already looking for volunteers, but for a volunteer board to see their advice disregarded because of somebody's agenda that clearly is not thought out because it's not supported by the plans that are presented. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. Any other comments? Going once? Going twice? Okay, we're done with the comment session. This is the time that the board, we sat here and we heard a lot of you express your opinions, which may or may not be that reflect the group. We've heard both sides. We left you say it uninterrupted. We've heard repeat of certain things. We've heard talking points. But we left you say it. Now at this time the board will have the opportunity to ask questions to any of the individuals that might have said some things. So. Yeah.
Mr. Funk, can you explain to me how highway commercial and this industrial venture would increase the residents' taxes?
Sure. You're going to have to pay for additional services, so that would perhaps be water services. You would have to pay for security services. What that is, we're not quite sure at this point in time, but we can be assured that if we have a restaurant, a nightclub in there, it's going to take some kind of security. I'll give you an example of Rockville Square in Route 30. It's a fairly large development. They negotiated special tax rate. They get $12,000 of revenue from Rockville Square every year. East Lampeter, it cost them $48,000 in police support. And that's for fraudulent checks, bad credit cards, vendors, also assault, whatever you want to say. But it's considerably more. The cost of services goes up dramatically if you have commercial. So it could be the wear and tear of the roads, which I think you're probably more familiar than anyone. If you have more traffic, particularly heavy trucks, those roads are going to break down, particularly the back roads. Maybe the state's responsible for 625. When you start getting a large amount of traffic, you're going to have a lot of traffic over the back roads, particularly Holmesville Road, and those roads are going to break up. They're not intended for heavy truck traffic or even heavy vehicle traffic. So as was pointed out, those people, the residents as well as those roads in that area are going to suffer dramatically.
The kind of businesses that I would be looking for should this go forward would be like the masonry on an Andrews Way, Gammon's Muffler Shop, the pole buildings, the Wises. Can you tell me and explain to me, and Lippert Component across the street from me, how that affected our taxes?
I can't tell you what the facility across the street from you affected your taxes. You'd have to go back and tell me that. All I can tell is back in 1998 or whenever that was put in, the Lancaster County Planning Commission said at that time that the way to raise revenue was not through additional industrial, light industrial, or commercial development. It was through increased taxes if you're going to increase the revenue to the township. And the reason for that is it's going to put the commercial or light industrial is going to place an additional burden on the township for services, the services that we just talked about. But to the other point that you just made, you see businesses like those on Andrews Way. The fact of the matter is, once this is zoned highway commercial, you, the supervisors, cannot stop the development. If somebody wants to come in and put in a hotel, a motel, a mini putt-putt course, a used car lot, a salvage lot, all of those fit into the highway commercial zoning, and you cannot stop it.
Do you honestly believe that somebody will come in and attempt to put in a hotel along 625?
Why wouldn't I? I'm not saying a hotel. How about a McDonald's? How about a pizza hut? How about a used car lot? The point was
I'm only asking questions. I have comments later.
Yeah, but the point was made earlier that there's a lot of power lines up there. People like to say, oh, you can't build under power lines. Well, guess what? You can put a parking lot in there. You can put a used car lot in there. You can cover that entire thing with asphalt as long as you have a good stormwater plan, and you can park as many cars as you want there. You can also have a salvage yard. Look what you have off Town Road. That salvage yard has been there for a long time. You can put one on 625 if somebody wanted to come in and do it. So I'm not saying those people are going to come in, but what you are doing and the Lancaster County Planning Commission said there should be an alternative. Brecknock Town of Bowmansville has neighborhood commercial zoning on the west side of 625. And you have a gas station there, and you have a couple of restaurants, and you have Bell Italian Ranch Restaurant. So neighborhood commercial supports the small business. Highway commercial, and it's intended for use by people within the township and within the town. Highway commercial, as pointed out at the Lancaster County Planning Commission, and Jerry was there, the commissioner said highway commercial does not support the village rural environment. Highway commercial is intended to bring people in from outside of the area. That means Philadelphia, New York, Reading. People want to come in and smell good Amish air. They're going to come perhaps through Brecknock County, but we're not intended to do that. The people that live here, as the gentleman said previously, we moved here because of the rural lifestyle. And I'll answer another question that he brought up that has not generally been shared, and that is 40 acres of commercial land, 625, occupied by PP&L, brings in no taxes. PP&L does not pay any taxes on that 40 acres that they occupy.
Are you aware that PP&L put up a pretty large sum of money?
Sure, it cost them, what, $6 million, I understand, to build
to the township, sir.
$10,000.
Well, do you want to put up 10,000?
Of course not, but you know what? There is something that churches, nonprofit organizations, no matter where you go, City of Lancaster, they have a payment in kind. So they're all nonprofit organizations, but the city asks them for an alternative payment. So you have churches and nonprofit organizations in Lancaster City who are paying thousands of dollars a year in taxes. PP&L has pretty deep pockets, and PP&L should be paying an alternative tax in lieu of the zero tax that they have right now.
Can you explain to me, you made the statement that if this zoning goes through, it'll create larger classrooms. I don't understand the larger classrooms.
If you build commercial and you have perhaps a motel or something that has employees, because one of the objectives for the supervisors is to put in businesses that have a larger number of employees. Where are those employees coming from? Are they coming from outside of Brecknock Township? I think that we would probably like to keep them in Brecknock Township, so there's going to have to be residents for those people who are working or owning those businesses, unless those businesses are owned by people living outside of the area. What we'd like to do is keep the small businesses in town, the people who own the business and live here in town. That's the kind of small business that I envision. But if you're putting up a business that has a large number of employees, the owner's probably not going to live in Bowmansville. And the children from the people who own perhaps the businesses or work in the businesses and live in Romans.ville. There's going to have to be additional schools. It's the same way with other services, whether it be security services, highway services, water services, sewer services, commercial that brings along residential has to provide those services.
You said you have 120 signatures on your petition.
Yes.
Do you feel that's a good representation of the township?
Sure.
You do?
Sure. Sure. Well, let me point out something else to you, and that is this is a very conservative, religious community. And I'm very surprised that some of the owners of businesses have spoke up to me, because I have gone to those same people and said, would you speak up about this rezoning? And they said, no, I'm not going to speak up. And then I'm very surprised that they came today and spoke up. It's a little bit surprising, but we have the people that spoke today in favor of it are the people who have the most to gain because their properties are going to be zoned commercial that supports their businesses. I think what you need to emphasize is that those businesses are perfectly legitimate right now. They may be non-conforming with the current zoning ordinance, but they are not in violation of any zoning ordinance. They've been grandfathered, they can operate their businesses just the way they are. They could probably even go to the zoning hearing board and get a variance for expanding their business if they would like. What I was told by some people is, you can't go to the zoning hearing board. It takes you years, and it costs you a pocket full of money if you want to try and get a variance for your small business. I think the supervisors should be more business friendly. They should facilitate getting those zoning variants so that they can keep the businesses where they are and grow them and add employees.
Would you believe, sir, that other than this one email from the township, I've had phone calls, I've had people come see me, I've had not one person come to me in opposition, even though it was stated on the bottom of your postings that was put on the door?
Well, we have a number of people here tonight who are obviously in opposition to it, and I have the petitions that I will share with you. I have three, one for each of you, that has the names of the individuals on it.
Would you believe, sir, that a lot of people, that not a lot, but people who signed that petition have come to me and now wish they wouldn't have?
Well, if you want to put together your own petition, that's fine, Arthur.
I don't need a petition.
We have 120 names. I think it probably would have been wise if you had kept a documentation, a list of those people who are opposed.
Oh, I'm smart enough. I know who they were, sir. I don't have
it would be nice to see that document. I've documented for you folks. I think because you are township officials, it would be nice if you documented for us.
Not a requirement, sir.
No, it's not a requirement. It wasn't a requirement for us either. But it was, if you're going to be a active resident, if you're going to be concerned about what's going on in the township, you need to come to meetings and you need to be participatory. And that's what we've done, and that's what these 120 people have said. Can't be there, but here's my voice. I do not support this rezoning.
Now, Larry, this has been a topic for off and on for 20 plus years. To add more to the township, it's been a topic years ago, not so much when you were on the board, but to take it all the way to the county line, it always seemed to be dropped. Would you have any idea at all, if it didn't go in that area, where it would fit into our township, that it would not impact farms?
No, the township is largely farmland. That's the beauty of the Brecknock community. My suggestion is that over along Stone Hill Road would be a perfect place, right next to Pepperidge, right next to the turnpike, right next to 222. That'd be an ideal place, but that's never considered because it's over in that neighborhood where nobody ever pushes for it because they say nobody wants to sell. And that seems to be their criteria. Are people willing to sell their farmland? And the argument used to be in the past that the people that own those farms won't sell them. Now, I guess the people that own the farmlands that you want to rezone are willing to sell them. They'll probably have to after this passes, which I know it's a done deal already. But after this passes, their taxes are going to go up because they'll be pulled out of the ag security and the clean and green, because the farm preservation is not going to give them the protection that they, if they're not in an ag zone anymore, they're not going to be protected as ag land. So their taxes are going to go back and go back up, and then the beauty of it is they're going to have to sell because they won't be able to.
Did you research that?
Yes.
Their taxes will go up.
If they're getting a discount now, Arthur, they have to go up. Am I not right? Are they not getting a discounted rate to get into clean and green? Or what was the reason for going in clean and green in the first place?
Yeah, but I have never heard that their taxes will change. It goes on, what's the use?
Really?
Yes.
Then what is the purpose of going in the ag preservation and the clean and green? It's to keep it in farmland.
Just because something's zoned one way doesn't mean you ever have to develop it or sell it. You're correct. Over there along Stonehill Road, it's been industrial for years and years and years.
That farmland across from the turnpike?
Along the turnpike.
I don't think so.
Stonehill Road's all industrial. It's been, oh my God, so long.
It's too narrow. Too narrow. It's only 200 feet wide.
Yeah.
They got to widen it.
But nobody, hey, you can't buy it.
Well, sure you could. You could make it wide enough.
Wait, we need one person speaking at a time.
To answer your question, Arthur, if you can tell me that their taxes will not be returned to non-farmland prices, can you agree that are you saying that that's going to happen? Their taxes under clean and green and under ag preservation were reduced. Am I correct? Yes or no?
Wait a minute. What are you saying? If they're rezoned to highway commercial, it does not affect the tax base at all.
My point is, the whole reason for going in ag preserve and clean and green was to get a tax break.
Yes, that's correct.
Along with preserving the land. But in order to preserve the land and give up the right to selling it to developers, they got in exchange a tax cut. Yes?
Yes, they get a tax credit.
Yes. A tax credit or a tax cut. Their tax bill is reduced.
Okay, yes. But
what happens when they're no longer in an ag district? Will their taxes not change?
Not unless the use changes.
Right.
Are you sure about
Yes.
that?
7 years back.
Are you sure?
7 years back.
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes. Now, how many times do I have to say I'm sure?
Because I don't think it's true.
Well, you don't know what you're talking about. Let's move on. We asked the tax assessor.
You asked the solicitor for
The township made a call to the Lance County tax assessor, and they said they don't go by zoning, they go by the use.
Then my question is, why did they do it in the first place?
Because their use is ag. Their use is clean and green.
Oh my.
So anyway,
Could you provide that in writing? Because I don't believe that's true.
can. The tax assessor said that they do not, there's so many different zoning districts here and there, it doesn't go by what it's zoned. The tax assessment is based upon the use of the property. Now,
that's
believe it.
You're saying the 20 employees, per acre. If there's no place for our people to start a new business, how can you ever accomplish 20 employees per acre? I'm looking across the street from my place.
Yeah.
Do you know how many employees they have? A lot.
Good.
And I'm glad it went in.
Good. To answer your question, Arthur, just a couple months ago, there was a property for sale and somebody bought it. It was a commercial district just out the street from my house. So any property in the township can be bought if somebody's willing to pay for it. But the one thing for sure is once that's paved over with blacktop, it'll never go back to farmland. Because there's nobody looking around to buy developments to turn back into farmland.
Okay, answer the question.
I answer this question.
Okay, you brought up about the regional plan.
Yeah.
Do you think it's fair, the cut that we are supposed to take in residential and the cut they take in the business ventures?
Explain your question.
Well, that's pretty obvious. Do you think it's fair we take the people, they take the businesses?
I think the impact of large traffic trucks and businesses on this local community
would be better located near a large highway than in the middle of Bowmansville. If you think it's difficult to pull out at the pizza shop now, you might as well find another way to get into the pizza shop.
Would you feel safe pulling out of my driveway in the morning?
Oh, absolutely not.
Same thing.
But so it's okay.
No,
let's increase that across the township. That's a bad example, Arthur. Don't.
You are against helping people develop businesses?
Absolutely not.
And where would you suggest they go with these? The land?
My recommendation, Arthur, was that you review the zoning ordinance, that you update the plans that these ordinances are built under, and then, if the justification can be made, then consider small steps, not one big jump that seems to be somebody's agenda to make it happen tonight, because they may not have the opportunity in 4 years from now. And that's what, now, to answer your question, Stonehill will be a good place.
And it's open for many years.
So why don't you make that highway commercial, from light industrial to highway commercial, take it back to the full property depth instead of 300 feet? You can't put a business in 300 feet. You can't even get your front parking lot in 300 feet. So why not make that whole farm over there into highway commercial instead of light industrial? You're forcing it into Bowmansville. And I don't understand why Bowmansville is bearing the brunt of it. The reality is, we're way past whether or not we're taking people. We rezoned the Hawk Valley is going into houses. We're building. We soon won't have any place to build in Brecknock Township after Hawk Valley is done, and they're next to the turnpike across from the park. My question is whether the next residential properties are going to be rezoned in order to provide new building lots, because all the building lots are built up. So I'm wondering where the next farms are going to be, Arthur, and I think I predicted that, where the next farm will be.
Well, you do understand, there was 4 or 5 farms, three, four, that were zoned and proposed to be zoned residential, but some that were zoned residential, that we changed the zoning back to agriculture.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you. The Benner Farm across from the Bowmansville Fire was changed back. The Wright Farm and Benita's Mill was all residential.
Yep.
It was changed back.
Yep.
The Summer Farm was proposed to be, it didn't go through. The Hurst Farm was proposed to be, it didn't go through.
Yes.
There was a lot of land reserved.
But we're on doing that now with 200 acres, and my question is, where will the next pressure come? And that's going to be residential, because builders are going to want to build in Brecknock because it's a place to build. And the next thing that will come along is rezoning for residential, and that's going to come out past Brecknock School.
Okay, now
that's my prediction.
You say that we should follow the recommendations of the Lancaster County and our Planning Commission.
Absolutely.
Okay, when you were on board as a supervisor, did you entertain that same thing?
Absolutely.
No, you didn't.
Can you point to one?
Yes.
Even one case?
Yes.
Where we disregarded the advice of the Planning Commission?
Yes, gladly.
Thank you. Remind me.
When you had your meeting with those people.
Those people.
Your small group in the rezoning of the 9 acres, back to Benita Mill, in that area. It was brought up, you met with that group, you moved the walking trails from the safe corridors along the streams to Good Road, Maple Grove Road, and Pleasant Valley Road. You stopped the plans of the 70s to bring the cul-de-sacs together, to bring a safe intersection out onto 625, which now we have the congested traffic at Bowmansville, which we will now keep forever. You went against the plans of both planning commissions from previously.
No, that's not.
Yes,
that's not
it is.
correct.
I can prove it to you.
No, that's not correct.
We can go back. Larry, I told you this will come up someday. You didn't listen.
You're referring to the official map, Arthur.
Yes.
And that official map was not the same as the Planning Commission thing and the Lancaster County thing and the information from the Lancaster County Planning Commission and from the Brecknock Township Planning Commission. The official map is a completely different document. It's kind of a wish list.
Oh, well,
So what you're talking about is two completely different things.
but you were wishing to put the safety of our people on the roads away from the safety elements of along the streams.
Jerry, I'm not going to continue this conversation with this question because I think it's irrelevant to the question, number one.
No, it's not irrelevant.
And number two, the purpose
Safety of the public is number one, and certain places belong at certain spots.
Well, let me have a couple questions in here. Tom Martin. You live up on Bowmansville Road. What's your property zone? Ag. Do you live on a farm?
Yes.
Farm. Do you testify you under oath that you live on a farm?
Under oath.
I asked it.
She's under
Why?
Putting under oath.
It was a question. And again, I'm not trying to I'm just trying to make an illustration. You can call it a farm, but it's not a farm. But it's zone ag. It's zone ag. So there's a lot of properties in our township that are in zone ag, they're not farms. And now to Ron Funk. I'm really disappointed you didn't try to work more with the planning commission in this process instead of putting out letters, petitions, going around putting stuff on doors that contain misleading information. Now, on a letter you had in one of the local towns, and I heard Cindy repeat tonight, 5 acres of commercial land on Route 625 adjacent to my property recently sold for $1.5 million. I am not aware of any commercial property adjoining your property that's sold anywhere for 5 acres for $1.5 million.
Commercial, right where the gun shop is in the old hometown collectibles.
That did not sell. That's not 5 acres.
Well, I talked with Linford Groff, whose brother bought it today. He said that's what it was.
No, it's not.
But what is it?
It's 2.3 and it didn't sell for 1.5 million. I mean, you're putting stuff down, you're passing it around. That's what I'm kind of disappointed with you're up to.
I read
It's
the
sold for
deed.
810.
For the deed, and that's what it said.
It was just listed recently 810,000 for
2 acres.
2 acres.
Well,
No, you
made
said.
the point, there's a buyer and seller, there's always land.
But no, and then Cindy repeated tonight that 5 acres of commercial land on Route 625 adjacent to my property recently sold for $1.5 million. False. Now.
Let's say there's 2 acres sold for 800,000.
False.
Still, the point still is, there's a buyer and seller, there's a lot of.
I'm just saying you put a false statement out there. Now, you put a petition out. It says replacing farms with commercial development can decrease, and we some of this, but three items. Replacing farms with commercial development, replacing farms with commercial development, replacing farms with commercial development. Now, first of all, farms are permitted in the highway commercial. There's no fear anywhere that farmers are going to be pinched or pinched or anything. Now, you keep referring to these, replacing these farms with commercial development. I'm not aware of any commercial development being proposed in this area, none. And I live right in that area. And before PP&L purchased these properties, they sat there for years. There's not a demand for property. There's not any for sale, and yet you put out one of them sign a petition, basically acting like these properties are going to be flying off the market with unbelievable things. And I'm disappointed that, like I say, you didn't try to work more with the planning commission. They're volunteers. They put a lot of effort into this thing. Some of them were working on that before you even moved into our township. And yet you didn't like their decision, so you go through town, starting to petition to better suit your interpretation. You put up flyers at doors and you put stuff at restaurants and stuff just because you didn't like the planning commission's decision. Now, out of that parcel there that was being proposed, there's 127 parcels. How many of them do you think would be how many of them meet the definition of a farm in our township zoning ordinance?
What is the definition of farm?
You don't know? You put a thing here saying that all these are farms.
If you want, why don't you go ahead and read the allowed ordinance?
Hey, wait a minute. There's some other people signed. Larry Horney. How many of these parcels meet the definition of farm according to our township zoning ordinance?
That's irrelevant.
No.
You ought to know what you're talking about.
Here's a petition that says,
Go ahead.
replacing farms for commercial development can decrease school and property tax. Replacing farms with a commercial development tarnishes our rural village. Replacing farms with commercial development requires new services. And I want to know how many of these are farms, according to our township zoning ordinance. I mean, it sounds like it's a lot.
Are you addressing major area?
Well, I'm asking anyone who signed it.
Sure, it's agriculture.
No, we have, okay, let me back
the
up here.
definition of a farm then from the zoning.
They should know that before you even submit a petition like this.
I know, okay, now,
Wait, hold on now. Let's
Let me
and then
continue.
if you fellas have, your thoughts, and statements to make, this is the point
Well,
where you get.
I'm questioning that.
Let me address your earlier question, and that is the rezoning of this land, and that you said there is no demand along that 625 corridor for commercial land. Then I would follow that with, why are we rezoning? It's
Because we're, okay.
It's ag land, and it's small parcels, but it's not all small parcels. Some of those are a quarter of an acre, an eighth of an acre, they're small residences. But then there's others that are 10, 12, 13 acres. From the farmland preservation point of view, you can get a conservation easement on anything over 10 acres.
Okay.
So you could say anything over 10 acres is a farm.
Okay. Let me
Let's
follow
go back to
that.
your point, and that is, you said very clearly, there's no demand for commercial.
I asked you a question, that wasn't that. Now, you mentioned that if it's more than 10 acres, you can get an easement for it. Do you realize that 20 of these parcels, of the 29, are less than 10 acres? See, you painted this big picture, and what I see here is a lot of small tracts that aren't under our zoning ordinance definition of farm. They're not farms. They're basically their primary use is residential. They're not even farms. Just because it's zoned ag, don't mean it's a farm. Now, if they want to put the business in there, and they say, can I go and apply for a farm support business? It's got to be at least 10 acres. 20 of them parcels, which is 68%, wouldn't qualify for a farm support business in them properties. Now, there's only 3 acres over 20. In our ordinance, the minimum lot size in the ag district is 20 acres. You blew this into something it ain't. It's not, they're not technically farms. It's not prime farmland. And as the township wanted to replace there was 4 or 5 highway commercial properties that PP&L purchased, and we wanted to simply allow them again so that we can have, and again, Arthur expressed some of the types of businesses that I think that we have to apply for. We became a bedroom community. It's good. In the regional Lancaster County regional plan, we have 25% of the population. We have less than 10% of the employment. When we initiated the local service tax last year, it didn't do much because we don't have many employees in our township. Now, I think that the highway commercial area needs to be changed to represent more of businesses that are needed in bedroom communities. Home improvement repair places, roofers, siders, repair of mowers and lawn equipment, lawn care and weed control, driveway repair and reseal driveways, people that do painters and wallpapers, and our houses are all like 20 years older now. People that do fences and patio landscaping, people that do power washing decks and siding, local firms that pump out our septic systems. And we don't have places right now in our township where these guys, they have to live somewhere else because they can't do it as a home occupancy, they can't do it as a cottage industry, they can't do it as a farm support business, they can't do it. And so the intent was initially to make available what PP&L purchased. There was, and those lots sat there for years, and I'm not even aware of any of these proposed lots going to be for sale in a number of years. You're not going to see McDonald's, and you're not going to see motels and all this stuff, which someone is out there just simply blowing smoke to make this.
You don't know that.
I do know.
No, you don't.
As well as they do.
Absolutely do not know what you're talking about.
As well as they do. I lived here a lot longer than all of you.
And now you don't.
No,
You don't know what you're talking about.
Come on.
You have no idea what's coming down the road.
Let me respond.
No, I
Simply
didn't
just
respond.
what you said, that is, any of the businesses that are listed on highway commercial can be built on highway commercial land. And it's okay, I understand, I agree with you that we should support small cottage industries, small cottage businesses. That can be done with neighborhood residential. And it's intended for, neighborhood commercial. As soon as you go highway commercial, you're saying, you're opening up to the outside world.
Well,
As much as you would like to control those, what you put in there, you can't. The supervisors can absolutely not control it.
That's an easy fix. That's an easy fix. It is an easy
All right,
fix.
it's my time, my turn to say. First of all, it's not an easy fix. If you currently allow businesses in highway commercial, and then you change your highway commercial zoning to eliminate those businesses, and a business owner comes in who wants to have a business like that, what does he do? Well, first of all, he comes to you, to us, and we say, oh no, that doesn't fit in highway commercial. They'll say, yeah, but it did before, and then he goes to court. And then we are in court. And the judge says, well, why don't you want to let this guy in? Well, it doesn't fit in our zoning. Yes, but it did fit in your zoning before.
Yeah.
Where are you going to put him now? And you're going to put him somewhere. Now, that's beside the point. What I started to say was, you two guys are business owners. The guys that spoke up over here were business owners. And that's good. We need business owners. And we understand that you guys need to make money. The rest of, or a lot of the people in here are not business owners. We work for people. So a business owner, when his cost of his material goes up, the cost of his facilities goes up, cost of his electric, cost of his water, whatever his costs go up, he has to pass them on. Most of us who work for somebody, excuse me just a second, most of us who work for somebody can't pass on our costs. When my taxes go up, I can't pass it on to anybody. Whereas business owners' taxes goes up, eventually it gets passed on. Eventually it does. Now we have nothing against business owners, nothing against businesses. The whole idea was the problem with rezoning 200 and some acres at one shot. That's why the county planning commission said, it's no good, it's inconsistent. That's why Farmland Trust said, no, it's inconsistent with everything. That's why our own planning commission 2 weeks ago said, no, our own planning commission. Now we are supposed to support our own planning commission, our own zoning commissions. We're supposed to support, and here we are, these two guys right here have absolutely no intention of supporting them. What should be done is we should do what the county planning commission, the land trust, farmland trust said we should do, and what our own planning commission said we should do. We should back off. We should stop right here. Let's not do anything tonight. Let's look at this. Business owners, let's rezone on your property. Glenn, your property that's now zoned agriculture, your adjoining properties, let's rezone them commercial or neighborhood commercial or whatever. This highway commercial is wrong. The highway commercial is wrong. There's my wife back there. She wants to say something. Wait a minute.
I've been in for 6 minutes, and I know you've seen it, Jerry.
Your time's over. Your time's over.
Yeah, they asked for commercial. They asked for people from the audience
I'd
before.
like to comment on something you've been saying, if I may.
You go ahead, comment on something I've been saying.
My name is Marguerite Boyd, and yes, I'm Mel's wife. which has nothing to do with anything we're doing here. You're presuming that if you mark all this, that businesses, small businesses can come. You're going to get all these little cottage industries. You're going to have 3 parcels that are 20 acres. Okay. To paraphrase what the movie said, if you build it, they will come. If you set this out there, we got a 20-acre property, a 20-acre property, a 20-acre property, don't you think that somebody who's got some size and some power and some bucks isn't going to move into there? Right. We're going to have a Dunkin' Donuts, we're going to have a Wendy's, and we're going to have all this stuff there.
Okay, that's enough. That's enough.
Now, the whole idea that what we're going to get right now is all these little small industries. Yeah, that's what we'll get right now. You have absolutely no idea what we're going to get 5 years down the track, 10 years down, 20 years down. Now, if you're looking, if you've got an agenda, you'll notice one of the things that is under new business tonight that they're going to talk about is an evaluation of the zoning text in commercial districts. So in other words, Jerry wants to eliminate some of the things that are in the commercial district right now. That's a good idea. However, like I said to you before, you cannot stop it. You can't stop it. You can take anything out you want to take out, but somebody comes in here with money and they will put it where they want to. Now, the lady from Farmland Trust. Yes. Could you clarify for us something about this clean and green and the ag preserve thing? Would you come up here somewhere where we can hear you?
If you learn about ag preservation, I don't know if I can tell you everything about clean and green.
Get something that's in clean and green.
Okay.
They're getting a tax break.
Correct.
If they take it out of clean and green, what happens?
Well, if they subdivide it too many times and they have to pay 7 years rollback taxes.
Okay, that's if they subdivide it.
Correct.
Just changing the designation doesn't change it though.
If you zone in commercial, it will still, if the use is still ag, nothing will change from there.
If the use is still ag.
The issue is that once it gets zoned commercial, that property will be sold for commercial, and that person will have to pay the 7 years rollback taxes.
Oh, did you hear that, business guy?
That I understood.
We knew that.
We knew that. We're trying to explain it to you.
No, you did not.
Yes.
You're just now explained it. This is a lady.
No, the person owning it, that keeps it in ag, they will not be paying rollback taxes. But as soon as they sell it, the next person, the person with the business, they purchase it for an astronomical price, will then pay the rollback taxes.
7 years.
That's also different from ag preservation. So I don't want you to get confused about ag preservation versus clean and green.
The other thing was ag security zone.
Yeah.
Does that mean anything?
From an ag security perspective, you can be zoned something different, as long as it's an agricultural use, I believe. I think there's like a 7-year review that like townships should do to ensure that the properties that are in ag security should be in ag security. Those that get rezoned would probably be up for question at that point because it would be good for commercial.
I can answer that for you. Can you answer it for you?
Yeah, she just answered it.
No, she
Ag security doesn't change anything.
Correct. It is not zoning. Ag security is not zoning.
I noticed
There are no restrictions.
one of the parcels happens to be 38 acres. Now, that's a lot of land. That's pretty good size around here for a farm. They won't be able to put that in preservation though once the zoning changes to it.
Ag preserve, no, you cannot preserve it. With the ag preserve board, once you change the zoning designation, it has to be zoned ag in order to preserve the county.
Now, the Farmland Trust, which preserves farms, thinks that this plan is inconsistent with all the plans that are available. I mean, comprehensive plan, things like that, right?
The county comprehensive plan and the electoral regional plan, yes.
Right. What does that actually mean?
With the regional plans?
No, what does it mean that our plan is inconsistent?
The concern that I would see from a township perspective and a regional perspective is, and this is about a comment before, me or Arthur, you might have brought it up about the unfair share of the loads between the regional. Unfortunately, that's the price that you're paying to be in a regional comprehensive plan, is that when you're working regionally from a municipal standpoint, people have to decide how they're going to be sharing their load in terms of what uses. I know from a curative amendment, I don't think you're not going to have that problem in Brecknock Township because you are in a regional comprehensive plan. So you're not going to have the issue where, oh, I can't find any commercial land when I sue the township. Because you're in a regional comprehensive plan, you can go to Earl Township, East Earl Township, Terry Hill Borough, Carnarvon Township, or New Holland Borough to do that.
Okay.
So I wouldn't worry about those issues.
But would you address that though?
What, curative amendment?
No, we do not have an inter-regional.
What we don't have is our implementation agreement like you see with some multi-municipal comprehensive plans where they have actually apportioned uses, okay? But the code, the MPC does state that if someone challenges a particular township who's in a multi-municipal comprehensive plan, that a governing body or a zoning board can look at the other participating communities and townships in deciding whether there is an invalidity in the particular township's ordinance, whatever that proposed use might be.
Sure. That's good to know. That's good to know. Thank you for the clarification.
Thank you very much for your explanation.
Good problem.
Very good. So the Farmland Trust doesn't like this plan?
No, there's an order of operation when it comes to the land use planning process. In these situations, a township would usually be looking at the comprehensive plan to see if rezoning is consistent with that. It's not in the future land use map, it goes beyond what the Yamaika Regional Comprehensive Plan states for a future land use map in terms of your highway commercial. It's larger than what the comprehensive plan says. In addition, there needs to be a needs analysis. You have to delineate urban growth areas or designated growth areas. None of that has happened yet. And I think that Lancaster Farmland Trust isn't against development. It's just the process in which a township decides where their approach should go. And maybe some thought needs to be taken before the shot and dart approach on this highway commercial.
Okay, I think I agree with what you said. This is something that suddenly appeared.
Correct. This is I would say out of the ordinary on a land use planning process where you just don't see a huge rezoning that's outside of a comprehensive plan. It's not something that the county or its residents would like to see in terms from a municipal land use perspective.
Thank you. Mr. Swigert.
Yes.
You agree with the county and the county planning commission and the Lancaster Farmland Trust and our own planning commission that this plan goes too far too soon?
Absolutely.
And you think there should be a more measured approach to this?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with all the concerns raised here this evening that rezoning 213 acres to highway commercial really opens up that whole section of the township for development that will not be able to be controlled. And I think you stated earlier that if a deep-pocket developer comes in, wants to put a massive distribution center, the land on the west side of 625 could accommodate another Park City. I mean, that's how massive this rezoning is.
No, too much wetlands. There's too much land. Fill in wetlands.
It's not wetlands.
Floodplains.
It's not designated wetlands.
You realize how much floodplains through there?
It's not designated wetlands.
Okay, but Dan, you completely demonstrate what I've been telling people. You're going to extremes all the time. Why don't you call it Lombardi Airport or something? I mean, I live in this area. And don't throw that stuff at me. I mean, come on. Don't insult our intelligence. Yes, it is.
Well, look, you're blowing the whole thing out of proportion.
Can I make one other comment? And I didn't comment on these aerial photos that were taken over the weekend. There's 3 of them in your packets that I gave each of you. Unfortunately, I don't have enough for the whole audience. But I've heard a number of comments here tonight that this land is not farmland. It's zoned ag, but it's not farmland. You look at these photos, This is pasture land or property. You can clearly see it on the photos. So, you know, if you're going to accuse people of the audience of making false statements, you know, follow your own advice. This is being used for farmland. Some of it. A lot of it. A lot of, look at the photo, Art. Look at the photos.
Pasturing is, to me, is not.
Pasturing is farmland.
Pasturing is not farming.
Art, are you done with your question?
You can pasture land that you cannot farm.
It's an opportunity to build on it.
You can't build on it.
Can't build on it.
You can't, Larry.
The problem I have is the people that did speak up tonight, after they were done speaking, and when it got to be our turn, they were attacked. Which I don't like that at all. I don't like that at all. You came here to make your opinions known. We should have let your opinions stand. Arthur had to attack Ron Funk. That's a personal thing. Larry was attacked here by our chairman. That again is a personal thing. That shouldn't be. All three of the agencies, including our own Township Planning Commission, looked at this plan and have said it's too much, too fast, too soon. Let's take it slow. Let's give these business owners what they need. Let's look at our whole setup here with the zoning. That's what I say should be done. And that's it. Thank you. Please don't do that. Please. I mean, that's common sense.
Why don't we take a break? It's almost 9 o'clock. Been at this for.
You're done with questions. Maybe one statement before we end, but that's it. Okay, I think we're done with the board asking questions of the audience. So at this time, board members, each board member had a chance to make a statement, and board, would you like to go first?
Yes, I agree with the findings that the Lancaster County Planning Commission wrote and told us that the plan is inconsistent and needs to be done properly in accordance with the comprehensive plan and some things like that. The Lancaster Farmland Trust, which preserves farms, said the same exact thing. Too fast, too soon. Do it right. Give the business owners relief that they need, but slow down what you're doing. In our own planning commission, right here, that had originally approved this plan, after they saw the opinion of the Lancaster County Planning Commission, unanimously disproved and said the plan is too fast, too soon. They agreed with the county. I mean, we can come up with a plan that's much better than this. And I don't understand why reasonable people wouldn't do that. Why we have to have it all at one time, or it has to be my way or the highway. I think we should sit down and work out a good, workable plan. It's good for Mr. Weber. It's good for everybody else in here that has a business. So that's how I feel.
Okay.
First off, I want to thank the people who signed the petitions. It brought to my attention and to do a lot more research and look at it closer, and made me think why they signed these petitions. You know, as I look at the petitions, everything starts off replacing farms. We're not replacing any farms. there's no place in this township that I know of. I sat up some mornings till 3:30. Sat at my desk. You can ask my wife. Going over this and over it and over it. Where could we set aside land for these people who want to start businesses like is on Andrews Way? You know, these are our people. These are our neighbors. And you talk about the Lancaster County Planning Commission. You know, I've been 25 years an elected official. Probably too long. But the thing is, I do not trust the Lancaster County Planning Commission. I ain't afraid to tell them. I'll tell you why. If it wouldn't have been for the Lancaster County Planning Commission, Hawk Valley would not be being developed today. They were the advisory board to the Board of Supervisors. Maybe not even would have the amount of housing and development we have today. Our supervisors back then worked off of their recommendations. I've been in issues with the Lancaster County Planning Commission. I can remember back when, like I said, the Wright Farm, the 80 acres, was zoned residential. Everything back there. The Benner Farm across from the fire hall, the whole thing was residential. This, what's now the Summers Farm, that was being proposed to be residential. They were talking Roy Hurst, and the Planning Commission with our township engineer, not the firm we have now, Spot, Stevens, and McCoy, came forward and said, "You need more residential land, you're way too short." Well, I thought about that. I spent a lot of time thinking about that. I probably know the boundaries and property lines of this township as well as anybody. And the reason is, back when I was a little boy, which is 60 years ago, my grandfather used to truck me from farm to farm to pick up and haul the cattle to all different auctions places. I started back in 1956 tracking these farms. And here we are, the Lancaster County Planning Commission. They said we needed more residential. I hate to bring her name up, but I went into the office one day and I said to Carol, "Get your calculator on, I'm not good with that." And I started running off how many residential areas we have and how many lots can be. And we came up with a figure in about 20 minutes. I presented this to the Lancaster County Planning Commission and said, "You're way wrong." And Spot, Stevens, and McCoy. They spent over a week reviewing this, costing us a lot of money, and came back and said, "You're right. We are way overboard." I remember when Hawk Valley, with the Planning Commission, they wanted to put an overlay on it. They wanted to make it residential and some kind of commercial green space deal. An overlay. Mixed uses. Then I said to them, "Where is this being done?" And they said, "Oh, we just started one." I forget if it told me Montjoy area or somewhere. I said, "Well, how's it working?" "Oh, no, we just implemented it." Well, I'm not hearing these double overlays anymore. But what I'm getting out of the petition, there's a lot of false information. And there's people coming to me, telling me some of the things that are being said. I am not the person responsible for any rezoning of Hawk Valley. I had nothing to do with the rezoning of Hawk Valley. That was supervisors way before my time. And it's just what our people are being told is not the full truth. You know, we have that piece of land along there. There is very little taken out of ag land. And I will go back to the same thing. A meadow with a floodplain is not agricultural cultivated fields. You can have all you want. My family's been in the farming background, moved here in 1723, and Mohawk Indian brought them. We tried to preserve the land every way we could. I don't know any person in this room, any person in this county who hunts and traps more than I do. I love the outdoors. I lived my whole life the outdoors. I was not content a couple of years with what took place here. I wanted bigger. So I run to Colorado in the spring, help ranch 53,000 acres. And I come back in the fall. And this is my home. And there's one thing I will tell you. Decisions that are made by me, my relatives and friends are here. If I make a bad decision, it's not like somebody who moves into the area and messes up and, oh, this isn't my home, I can move on. Where do I have to run? I have no place to run. This is where I live. These are my people. You know. And I'm not trying to destroy anybody. We're trying to help the community. There are people that look for parcels of land to start a business on. I've had many people through the years say we'd like to start a business in Brecknock Township, but there's no land available. Those people moved on to other communities. Those communities now, they've got the revenue. If we don't pick up with our commercial and industrial uses and tax base, for those of you who want a police force, we're not going to be able to afford it off of the revenue we're taking in today. Because, and Cindy was right, farmland only takes a certain percentage of every dollar that's paid in. Industrial, light industrial, and commercial takes in a little more than that. But residential takes in more than the dollar. The more people we take, the more it costs in services. Commercial land, industrial land does not mean bigger police force. Not at all. It won't even change. For those who drove, if you drive 625 and you take a look how many farms are going to be destroyed. There's none. There is none along 625 that's going to be destroyed. Most of this land is already developed with houses or businesses, cottage industries, and the only thing you'd be doing for them is helping them out because you're putting them in compliance. And there will be really, there won't even be a change. You won't even notice that there's a change. People say, well, they're going to build a hotel. Oh, who in their right mind would build a hotel along 625? The facility will go broke. Who's going to stay in it? Maybe Super Sunday at Maple Grove or something. But who in their right mind would go into such a venture? We have people who would like to start businesses. Look at Rainflow. When they outgrew their facility on the farm, we told them you have to move. You've got to find something else. What did they do? They farmed a piece of land. Levi knows. Yeah. And, hey, they moved. They have a nice facility, and it wasn't in favor of everybody, but it was along 625. They kept it in the township. And those are the things we have to look for, is to help our people. We can't force our people out of this area to look for other areas to start their business or to expand. That's not fair to our people. Now, one thing I will do, I have not had one person call me or come to me with opposition against this. If you're opposed to it, you should have came. We would have sat down and talked about it. I am the type of supervisor that, and I have been for years, if you have a problem or concern in the township, don't be afraid to get a hold of me. For those of you who have a pen or pencil, I give you my cell phone number. It's 717-327-7764. You can call me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I will answer that phone. I am not afraid to talk to anybody. These issues are a major concern for the betterment of the community. I can't see where it'd be a safety issue. It's not going to add more children. The developments add more children. Are we at the point in Brecknock Township where we want to take in residential and nothing else? Do we want to take it? We can't sustain that. We'll go broke because of all the services we'll have to provide for residential people. You know, fought for years to keep Brecknock Township simple. We're simple here. We're not like a lot of the rest of the county. And we have the lowest tax structure, one of them in the whole county. We can keep it that way if we plan right. But we have to plan everything. So, there I'm at. I can't see where they say we're destroying a farm, because that's not true. It was done on paperwork, I think, through the preservation. I forget where I read it in one of the papers. That lands along, the farms along 625, the three larger tracks. Well, that's another misstatement. There is no tracks along 625. That is of that size. And the ones that are there, like Mr. Swiger, if you look at the photo of Brubaker's, that's pretty near developed already. That is, there's not so much left there. Sure, you might look at the total acreage, but what is left on that tract? These are parcels of farmland. But all I know, one way or another, we have to provide land for our business people to grow, or we're not going to last long as a supervisor in the township. We're not going to be able to stand the low taxes we are today. I guarantee you we will not be able to do it. Thank you.
Wow. Well, obviously the easiest thing for me is just do nothing. But that's not planning. The next easiest thing is delay it till next month. But that's just putting off, and I'm not following through with the true passion I have for what I believe is best for the township. I believe our top responsibility, our two top responsibilities as a township is public safety, and then provide economic stability and strength to our families that are trying to make a living. My mother grew up in Bowmansville, 1930, early 40s. It was a village, and there was no zoning, and it was surrounded by farms. And zoning is not required. This township is not required to have zoning. But if we do, we have to zone the entire township. Now, when you try to preserve one part of the township and put restrictions on something, you gotta allow it somewhere else. This represents 1% of the township. And for all those that think this is gonna go bananas, this allows us then to increase and bring more strength to the restrictions we have on the 99% left. And I've said to a couple of people that I just believe that the future of the commercial and industrial should be north of the PA Turnpike, and we should concentrate on preserving the farms and the open areas south of the PA, and the villages south of the PA Turnpike. And that'll come up more in future comprehensive plans. But going by the numbers, and this is where I think a lot of it is somewhat deceiving, there's 29 parcels. Out of the 29, 14 of them are identified as having pre-existing non-conforming uses. Those 14 contain 112 acres. Now, you've heard 315 acres all, or 215 acres all night. You subtract the ones that are the pre-existing non-conforming uses, you're down to 102 acres. I'm committed to follow through with the recommendations of the county that we would rezone those existing non-conforming businesses. So you're down to 102. You separate PP&L has 2 tracts there that are 8 acres that we increased to it, that are part of PP&L's service. You subtract them 8, you're down to 94 acres. Now, there's 7 tracts, 6 tracts are roughly 1 acre each. They're not going to do much either way. So you subtract another 6 acres, you're down to 86. The largest parcel we have of 38 acres is currently the next largest, the Earl Brubaker that's up on Trosteville Lane, is very little tillable. It's not a prime spot to be developed simply because it would cost more. They would rather buy property along Long Lane that's currently for sale and develop that than they would up Trosteville Lane. So if we subtract that 28 acres, we're down to 58 acres. And this is what I look at. I look at this as a proposal that's going to provide about 58 acres of future growth for the township for those occupations that I talked about. And again, we need to allow businesses that support our bedroom communities, businesses that support the residential homes, the residential properties, and we currently don't. So again, in my mind, I'm looking at really only about 58 acres that's going to be available for future growth. And like I said, I support Lancaster County's recommendations that we would rezone those existing properties that are existing businesses and those that are truly infill. So, you know, it seems like we've gone back and forth. But I'll tell you, tonight I would entertain a motion that we support Lancaster County and our Township's Planning Commission recommendations that we rezone the parcels that have existing businesses and those that are truly infill between them existing businesses, and as represented on the map that was presented here tonight and that Lancaster County had. And I would suggest that we would bring our comprehensive plan up to match that then. So I make that as a motion.
I'll second that motion. Now, wait a minute, I just want to make sure I understand this. Can we identify which tracks are those?
As the map. Full map.
That are currently not conforming. And
rezone the parcels that have existing businesses, those that are infill parcels between them. And as shown, pretty much that's what the Lancaster County, that's what our planning commission provided.
Which one's the infill? All. Okay, so at the proposal that was advertised, you're asking for all the acreage to be?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I just want to make sure that I understood what you said. What was your proposal again?
My motion is to support the recommendation, the number one recommendation by both our Township Planning Commission and Lancaster County Planning Commission to rezone the parcels that have existing businesses and the infill areas between them, as shown on the map that was shown at Lancaster and here tonight.
I would ask that, are you saying that the ordinance that was prepared and advertised,
yes,
as advertised in the ordinance prepared, that's what you're asking to be to adopt this evening? All the acres?
Yes, based upon the recommendation by Lancaster County.
I do not second it.
I second it.
Okay, we had the motion to support the recommendation by Lancaster County Planning Commission to rezone the parcels that are existing business in those infill areas, as shown on the map, and also then bring our comprehensive plan, our future comprehensive plan to.
Well, the only issue is tonight is whether you want to adopt the ordinance that was advertised with all the acreage, which is 200.
Yes.
12, 13.
Yes.
That's your motion.
Yes. Okay, we had the motion and it was second. Those in favor say aye.
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 I oppose.
Motion carries. Okay, you're all free to leave. We got another hour of regular business, bills to pay and reports to read and.
No, I'm looking at Larry, he's making gestures back there. I don't know which fingers he's all using there, but doesn't matter.
Yeah, right.
I'll see you, Greg.
Okay, in your package you have the minutes from last month's meeting. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes of April 11th?
I move that we accept the minutes as written.
And I second it.
Okay, the motion was made to accept the minutes as they're posted and was seconded. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. I like that. Okay, you got the bills.
Is that, Carol, is that figure 39,414.76 the correct figure?
Yeah, 39,414 plus the 4,098.69 for PP&L, and then 4,726.18 for the tools.
Yeah, that's right.
No, I don't have
Repeat the total.
I don't have the total, so it's 39,414.76, 4,398.69, and 4,726.18.
Sorry. To approve on those top three.
Yeah, I approve that.
Thanks, Mark.
Okay, the motion was made to approve all three figures as Carol had presented, and it was seconded. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Okay, we have reports, roadmasters. Ms. Dawn, okay. Engineers report.
Yes, I have a few items tonight. I'll just reference to page 4 of my report. I'll just read these to the board. You can make one single motion if you're in agreement, or we can section those off as you see fit. Item number 1 is John D. Martin Stormwater Management. That's for the stormwater O&M agreement and also the memorandum of understanding. I'll add that. Item number 2 is the Russell Zimmerman Stormwater Project. That's an O&M agreement for approval. Item number 3 is the Frank Pudlow Stormwater Management. That's for our financial security in the amount of $2,750 and also a memorandum of understanding and stormwater management agreement. Item 4 is the Jeffrey Weaver Stormwater Management Project and financial security release in the amount of $675. Item 5 is the David Newswanger Stormwater Project. It's financial security release in the amount of $420. And item 6, which I'll just add, is a extension of time request for the Sun Valley Campground. That extension of time will run until the August 8th meeting.
Okay, is there a motion to approve all the action as presented?
I make that motion.
Okay, motion was made and seconded to approve all the action approval items that our engineer had given, and all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, what's next? SEO, you have zoning, you have solicitor items. Do you have anything?
Nothing this evening.
Anything happening with the dog kennel?
The judge, issued an order.
Yeah.
I told you about that, and the requested documents from the appellant's attorney was given to Larry Mayer. Larry Mayer, I don't know for sure. I'm not seeing it yet. He's supposed to issue a subpoena to Mr. Savage?
Yes. No, yes, Mr. Mark.
Mark,
Yeah.
Savage, the husband and wife. And so I don't know whether it's, once that's done, then it'll be remanded to the zoning.
Do you need authorization from the board to continue to represent the township?
Yes, I mean, when this goes back to the zoning hearing board, I'll need your authorization if you wanted to do that, to attend the zoning hearing board.
You don't need it tonight. You don't need it tonight.
I don't know when it's going to be scheduled. But if you wait, but I don't read, if you don't want to do it tonight, you don't have to, but I could, if you're ready to, you can.
I guess I'd make a motion that we authorize Bill Cassie to continue to support our township zoning ordinance and work with Larry Mayer to follow through with this.
I'll second it.
Okay, the motion was made and seconded that we authorize Bill Cassidy to continue to work with the Marlon Souder case in support of our township board. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries.
The pictures in the back.
Yeah, I'm looking at those pictures.
My opinion,
Well, this is the first one. Well, you see 419, then you see 54.
yeah, keep working on it.
Yeah.
Don't fine.
54.
I am completely against fining people.
Yeah.
I've been out fine for a long time, and I know what it's like. Don't matter.
So I guess we just won't take action at this point. You gave them. He definitely is cleaning it up.
And Levi does, you make regular visits there anyway. Sorry, I didn't see you come back in the room.
He's not finished, I hope.
For those that, this is what it looked like not long ago.
Right.
I'm still curious about the air
You want to see the picture? It's on
And here's what it looked, he's cleaning up.
I'm sorry, now what? I'm
Sure,
interested
put
in
that picture
is
aside
the
this
air
one.
conditioner sticking through the window of the garage.
Where is it?
Is somebody living
Spruce
there?
Street. No, the other picture, so that you can see the two. And if you-
That one, yeah.
there's what it was a while back, he's cleaned up some. Now he's getting closer.
I basically said as long as nothing additional stuff goes there. You see more stuff there. And it should be a gradual.
He's bringing more in.
No, I said it does.
Oh.
That's why I take pictures, that's what I.
Yeah.
He doesn't have that much to go anymore, it looks like.
Well, where is the one at the generator plug?
That one is across from King's Quality Foods.
It's right on the corner, it's where they have the big truck, car haulers right now. It used to be a, it's
The
right,
chicken house.
it's right at the entrance of Andrews Way. Yeah, it used to be where, yeah.
But I will make a comment about that. I'm glad they're there. And I'll tell you why I'm glad they're there. We got them off the streets in the developments. I remember on Oak Leaf Court, they were lined up 9 vehicles on an angle. They're pulling motors, transmissions, fixing cars, Spruce Street, the same thing, stuff all Broadway. We got those people confined into an area where they're not in the middle of the developments. I am glad they're there, but we don't try to work with them to screen it or something. That's my opinion.
Is there a motion to accept the reports?
Make the motion that we accept the reports of the roadmaster, engineer, SEO, zoning, and solicitor as presented.
Okay, the motion was to accept them, and was seconded. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Now, the next, under new business, and I asked Carol to put this in. This is basically following up on some of the recommendations from Lancaster County that our current commercial district, and I agree, it does not reflect the rural community as we want it to be. And also, so the request is to assign our Township Planning Commission to evaluate all 3 zoning, commercial zoning texts and compare them with the other texts in our regional comprehensive plan. Compare them with Carnarvon, East Earl, and Earl, and try to make them compatible with them. And if they would recommend a 4th commercial district, that's certainly, I'd like them to consider that. So again, now I'd like them to, and I know there's been some question about how the last one went. If the Planning Commission wants and desires professional help to work through this, I guess first determine their course of action, or if they think with using our zoning officer and simply making a comparison to the other 3 township zoning texts. If they're comfortable with that, that's fine. But I'd like to make a motion that we assign them responsibility to evaluate are 3 commercial districts and the permitted uses, the special exceptions and conditional use, because it needs a fix. And so I make that as a motion.
I second it then afterwards with a comment.
Okay. Motion was made and it was second. Those in favor say aye. 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 Motion carries.
I hope they lean your way, Levi, because the consulting people, I have learned this. You can bring in all the consulting people you want. I've learned this. I'll be sad. You know what? I gotta feed them all that information. They know nothing. They know nothing about the township. They know nothing about the people. I have to feed them the information that they put in writing that charges us, maybe, I imagine some of them consulting firms, we probably paid $5,000 to $10,000. Well, I know we did. And that's a waste of money. I really have enough faith in you as our zoning officer and our planning commission to figure out what our zoning districts really need. So.
Okay, Mr. Boyd, you knew Stephen personally. Would you be
Yes, I
willing to
did.
make the motion that we accept the resignation?
Yes, I regretfully recommend that we accept the resignation of Stephen Krusky. He is a good member of our sewer authority. He was with us through the tough times. I hate to see him go.
Okay, we had a motion to accept the resignation. Is there a second?
A second.
A second. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Okay, we actually have a volunteer position application to replace Stephen. Grant Wise expressed interest years ago, and when this came up, he informed Jason Cole that he was interested in filling. For those of you who don't know Grant Wise, he's the son of J. Roy Wise, but deceased. Yeah. So I'll make a motion that we appoint Grant Wise to fill the vacancy on the.
I have one reservation.
Okay.
It says he oversees the construction of numerous subdivisions in Brecknock Township. Unfortunately, numerous subdivisions in Lancaster County have substandard roads and things like that. So I'm not real impressed with his
Okay, the motion was made to appoint him. You have reservations, but is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Motion was made and second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
I oppose.
Okay. Motion carries. Now, I think what I heard Carol was requesting a new map be made up. And it really doesn't cost the
It
township.
doesn't cost the township.
Cost me.
Yes,
It costs me.
Whoever
It's a
advertised.
municipal directory and a map where
It costs me.
where businesses can buy spots on it, and it's very outdated, the one that we have, and I just like permission from the board to follow
Make that
through with
motion.
that.
Yeah, we make a motion that we authorize Carol to come up with a new township map.
I second it. So the motion was made to go ahead with the map. And it was second. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries.
Aye. So, Andy,
Motion to.
we're gonna pay for that and get money out of it.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. Motion was made to adjourn and second. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Yeah, the advertisement paid all this.